had any, to my knowledge, anything done. And so it made it, caught the attention. It has bulldog softball and bulldog baseball. It does have a letter D. And so it was really to just make the fields look more attractive. That was the purpose of that.
Okay. I expect to see the bulldog mascot, that's the official bulldog face on those, and I don't know how you could stick that on there, but it should be at least as big as the others so that it looks uniform.
Okay.
That'd be my comment.
Okay, and I can certainly have a conversation with DHS administration and see if we can somehow make that happen with the company that was ordered. As I have met with them, and there will be more of the unity of the bulldog being used because they are the Douglas High School Bulldogs. So I will certainly have a discussion with Mr. Ortega and Mrs. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Chalcha.
I've driven by the building site over by Douglas High School several times, and I noticed that they're starting to pour concrete, and they have actually a big rebar grid set up, so we're moving along, it looks like.
And they are, and both Mr. Soto and I, and actually Marco, we did a site visit, and so you're welcome to do a site visit with us.
Okay.
You just let me know, and we'll let Beth know, the supervisor. They'll give us hard hats and a vest, and they will walk you through and show you the progress.
Okay, thank
Good.
you.
What, as long as you're just quickly, along with her comment, because I'm not going to make the comment, I'm just going to hitchhike on her, is how are you doing schedule-wise with the completion date and the different points of progress that are being made?
Do you want to talk?
Sure. There's been, of course, some backs and forths, sometimes with delaying delivering the materials and the buildings, the metal that is going to be utilized. So right now, actually, today we got an email about the concrete pouring that it was supposed to happen this week, but because of the weather
Temperatures,
conditions
yeah.
and the temperatures, they're going to move it one more week. Overall, the project, they're still pushing. They're still trying to meet the deadline. We haven't had an actual concrete answer on, yes, we're going to meet it, or we don't know yet at this point. No concrete answer, but we can see that they're working hard and
Okay,
trying
and
to
for
meet
the
the
record,
deadline.
officially, we just moved to his report, okay, so that he can discuss that thoroughly. So we're off of board members' reports, okay, and I jump forward to business manager report. So go ahead and continue with that.
Again, I don't know if you have specific questions about the addition. Like Mrs. Samaniego said, we went and walk around. We see a lot of progress. I mean, and they told us that from now on, we're going to see a lot more construction happening because you're going to start seeing the erection of the buildings and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, just don't get too excited because, I mean, you're going to see really fast going forward, but there's still a lot of details that they obviously have to look at before finalizing the project.
Those buildings that you leased that are adjacent to the student parking lot, are those being utilized?
What building? Oh, the portables?
Those portable buildings?
Yes, yes. If I'm correct, I think they're being utilized for science. One is 2 classrooms, the other ones are labs. I'm not sure about if the labs are being used, but that was the purpose. At least those 2 classrooms are being utilized for science.
Okay, and then, board members, we're going to move on to the budget part of your report, so if you'll do that now, and then other board members, Mr. Ramos and Dr. Gomez, if you have any questions regarding what we were just talking about, then you can ask them then as well. Go ahead.
Okay, again, my monthly report, this is for the month of January, and these are the balances we have so far. I don't know if you have any specific questions.
Mr. Ramos, Dr. Gomez, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Members of the board, no more on that, either one of those?
Yes, I did have one more.
Go ahead, sure, go ahead.
Regarding the practice fields that used to be there, where will the students be practicing for football and
One is
JV
being
baseball?
build behind transportation, exactly where the other one was.
Okay,
So they're,
No, but she's asking where are they going to be practicing?
Oh, from now on?
In the
Both.
meantime.
in the meantime, that I don't know. That I don't know how.
Mr. Ortega, you want to chime in? Can you chime in? Because
Using Huber, but.
Good evening. To answer your question, Ms. Elchow, right now our baseball programs are all practicing in the same location. They don't officially begin until Monday, so we'll kind of see the logistics of that and how that looks. But fortunately, we started that last season just to kind of get an idea because we had already anticipated that,
okay,
and it worked out pretty well.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments regarding Mr. Soto's report? There's nothing in the budget that's significant that you need to?
No, not at this point. As you all know, we're still waiting on the legislation and see what's going to happen with the aggregate expenditure. I believe the legislature is going to meet early March, 2nd or 3rd, around there. I don't know if we're going to have a board meeting by then. Hopefully, we'll have a board meeting right after. Just so we know what's going to happen for next year. Just also keep in mind that this is not only going to affect this year's budget, but it's going to affect the following years until something is done and get fixed. But once I get more information, I'll let you know for sure.
You're following that legislative process closely, right? Because you know that the majority of the bills in the legislature right now deal with schools
Yes,
or school-affiliated organizations.
yes, correct.
Okay.
So that's another big hit.
And there could be a lot of negative things come out of that legislature this year. A lot of things
A
that
lot of
people don't
things.
realize. Next year, we might be looking at a lot of different types of activities in school districts that we've never
Yes.
seen before.
Correct.
Okay, let's go to the student activity report. Camila?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. The activity report at DHS and DUSD schools for the month of February is as follows. We've got great news to share about our students at DHS. DHS Wrestling has a new overall wins record holder. Albert Ambriz, class of 2022, earned his 115th career win at DHS to break the previous record held for 26 years by Jose Luis Moreno, 1995. Members of the DHS band had the honor to take part in the EAC Honor Band held on January 26th. DHS cheer team brought back some specialty awards as they earned Lasting Impression and Crowd Response Cheer. The team also placed 5th in their division overall in the state qualifiers. In our district, parent-teacher conferences are February 3rd from 1 to 7. Early release for students is Thursday, February 3rd and Friday, February 4th. At DHS, spring sports begin February 7th. There will be a HOSA blood drive February 17th, a Zella reassessment February 22nd through the 28th. At Ray Moraine, girls basketball and boys soccer will resume once we return to in-person instruction. Tutoring and the after-school enrichment program will also resume once we return to in-person instruction. At Huber, congratulations to Marta Castro for winning the district spelling bee. She will represent DUSD at the county spelling bee. Athletics will resume when we return from distance learning. At Clawson on February 11th, we will have our Valentine/Friendship celebration. February 22nd, we will celebrate Tuesday with tutus, ties, and tennis shoes as we twin it with our besties in friendly competition. At Stevenson, there will be virtual and parent-teacher conferences on February 3rd, Valentine/Friendship Day celebrations February 11th, and Spirit Days February 4th, Disney Day, February 11th, Football Jersey Day, February 18th, Camouflage Day, and February 25th, Workout Day. At Sarah Marley, we will be celebrating Valentine/Friendships Day on Fridays, February 11th. Our Quarter 2 Awards Assembly has been moved to Tuesday, February 15th at 9:30 a.m. Parent-teacher conferences are set to take place on Thursday, February 3rd. At Ferris, we will have our Quarter 3 EL parent meeting on February 2nd. Parent conferences on February 3rd. We will be celebrating Valentine/Friendship Day on February 11th, and students will have a dress down day on February 11th. Ferris students can wear pink, red, or Valentine-themed t-shirts. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned a couple of things regarding athletics. You know, I'm going to take advantage of, did Angel, is he still here? Or did he?
He's right there.
Angel, come back up there if you would for a second. Could you just kind of give the board and then the general audience, what is happening with athletics right now as far as practice and scheduling and what sports are active and And what are the logistics of the playoffs and those things? Just kind of briefly so that we'll know, because like I said, everything's disjointed right now and it's really confusing as to what's going on. Could you give us a brief
Yeah, it's-
kind of status hit on that?
Sure. It's been it's been quite a challenging season, being that we didn't have winter sports in 2020. It was really just getting back to that that custom of almost every day having contests every day, because winter is pretty busy. But overall, I mean, we dealt with the ups and downs as far as COVID-related issues with our athletes and coaches, and everything in between. But all of our teams in the winter managed to pull through, and we're now in, I think, the final week and a half or so of the winter season. We anticipate a couple of our teams heading to the postseason, which would be maybe our boys soccer, which probably has the best chance. Our girls basketball right behind them as well. That has a last couple games to see if they can make that postseason push. And then like our student body president had mentioned, we do have a few wrestlers that could be qualifying for the state playoffs. One of the state championships, one of them being our senior Albert Embrice. So overall, we've had pretty good success, again, dealing with challenges that we didn't have a year ago because we didn't have a season. So we battled through it, and I think we did okay. Kids trying to get that experience again, because not having a season did affect them. So getting that experience, those reps again, and really gave them the opportunity this season to learn.
What about the attendance, number one, and number two? Have people been reluctant to go because of COVID, number one, and then number two? Are they wearing masks, for instance, at anything that's taking place in the gymnasium, like wrestling or basketball or whatever?
Yeah,
are they wearing masks in there?
Sure. Are you referring to attendance of students or the community?
Just general
Community.
public.
Yeah. So we've had some ups and downs. I guess maybe community members have been a little bit more hesitant to attend larger gatherings, especially inside the gym. But because we had that DUSD mask mandate all season, it was enforced as best we could. The athletes that were actively participating obviously weren't using them just because of the type of physical activity they were doing. But everything that was outdoors obviously was optional. And, even to this day, having left from one of our soccer games, you still see face coverings outdoors. So, throughout the season has been consistently enforced. And like I said, as far as the attendance wise, we've had our ups and downs as well.
But the attendance hasn't been good, has it?
Again, we've had our ups and downs. We've had some games where we did have, quite a bit of community members and parents, and then we have some where, we struggle. But it all just depends on the time of the year. Being that it was in the winter, in December, Christmas time, you have people that are, busy with other things. But, it's been consistent throughout the school year, or the season.
But there's no mandate, for instance, to go in the gymnasium. The district doesn't have a mandate that anybody in the gym wears a mask.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
Because the gym is a
It's
DUSD facility, we do have to enforce that as well.
The reason I asked that is because I had a couple of parents told me that, and of course, you're always going to have those dissenters, right?
Mhm.
And I know at the University of Arizona, I know people go to all the games there, and they get upset because they have that mandate, but when they get in there, people take them off.
Yeah.
But have you had that problem? Have you had to address any issues where people have, somebody's come up to you, say a staff, and say so-and-so's not wearing
Yeah,
them?
nothing to the point where it was like any kind of
A big issue.
like an issue where we're sitting there back and forth with anybody. But that's why we do have our campus security and kind of going around and showing them to make sure they put their masks on, obviously with concessions and things, and having the common sense of people that are eating or have some kind of a beverage or something. But when they're not, that's what we utilized our campus security this year for those events. Were we 100% accurate? Probably not. But we do the best we can to make sure that that's enforced, because that is part of our mandate here at USD.
Okay, well, thanks for that update, unless members of the board we take advantage of Camila's report.
And spring
on-
sports start in about a
So
week,
spring
right?
sports start a week from, yesterday on Mondays, February 7th. And fortunately for that, they're all outdoors. And, the type of physical activity they use, there's not really much physical contact. So we hope, just like last year, we have a full season.
I think Mrs. Salchow has a question.
I was going to just say, I was at the girls' basketball game where they play Desert View, and there were lots of masks. And I noticed, especially from our visitors,
Yeah.
our
and-
visitors were 100%.
Yeah, and and it's kind of consistent throughout this, well, I could say Southern Arizona, that there's mandates indoors anyway. So I think they're already used to that. But we communicate that with visiting teams as well, that we do have a mask mandate, so they follow it as best they can as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there at the, I think it was Wednesday, the Sahuarita game, girls basketball. And I will say, yeah, the visitors, there was a large crowd of Sahuarita visitors because they have relatives in Douglas. And so cousins were playing against cousins. And there was quite a bit of attendance. And for the most part, you could see one or two that would, remove the mask a little bit and then put it back on. But it was well attended, I thought, and people walking with a mask.
And I noticed that our athletic director was wearing his mask even outside of the soccer games, and that was good model.
Oh, I think that was because it's probably below, like,
You were
thank you.
wearing it.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you, Camila, for that report. And he helped you out a little bit with it. You didn't mind him helping you, did it? Denise, Human Resource report.
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, principals, and community. So our student enrollment currently is at 3,875. Last year at this time, we were at 3,735, so we're up a little bit. And then speaking of the new student center, you will see in the board agenda that Ms. Menem Gomez is retiring after 32 and a half years. She will retire at the end of May. And so we would like to publicly thank her for her many years of service and dedication to the district. And it is a major loss for the district to have Mena retire. So
I don't think the board will approve her retirement. No, but yes, she's brings a wealth of knowledge to that department. And so finding a replacement that can handle that position, because our funding comes with accurate data control, and that is a big responsibility within that position. So yes, thank you, Mene, for your 32 and a half years.
Well, not only that about Manny, I think it merits saying that those 32 years have seen a lot of service from her in a lot of different areas.
Capacities, yeah.
But I can tell you that, I'm not going to even say this, it goes way back to even my other life before that one, that Manny was here. And she was very strategic in the grants program. She worked with Dr. Herrick. But then where you see the student center right now,
That's under Mene.
it's
That was her.
Mene. And I'll be honest with you, that department over the years had its ups and downs, and she really, really brought it up to where it is right now. And people don't realize all of the many, many technical aspects of that position in that department. And Mr. Soto will be the first one to tell you that he appreciates her immensely because of her accuracy, and not only of her and her staff, and because of her, that staff is as efficient as it is. So there's a lot to be said about Manny, and if she does retire,
Yeah,
unless
she
you
may-
guys
she may
offer her an
rescind later.
incentive,
Yes.
she's going to be a tremendous loss to the district.
Yep.
All right.
So Denise is now going to give you an update on our COVID situation.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
I
yes.
thought you were done.
So regarding COVID, last week we had 45 district employees test positive for COVID, and we had about 46 close contacts that we're keeping track of. So that has been the highest week we have seen probably in the 2 years since we've been dealing with COVID for different reasons. And so it was a tough week. Last week was a tough week. We had 41 student cases reported. So I don't know if parents are just not reporting because students are at home, or if our numbers have declined that much. Because previously, the week before, we had 104 student cases. So we're not sure if parents just didn't report. This week so far, we have 4 positive cases and 6 exposures. So we just need to track those other 46 cases of possible exposure to see if anybody tests positive. But I think we're on track to be okay to open next week.
Okay, so that was going to be my question, is that, given what you know
Staffing.
now, you don't have any apprehension at all about coming back to school on Monday?
Not at this point, but Sundays seem to be the day that we get bombarded. So the weekends are a little terrifying for me personally. But as of today, we're
And I think
we'll be okay.
with those positive cases from last week, given the new guidelines with the CDC, we've reduced it to now 5 days. And so for the most part, taking every case, which is unique in itself, and asking the questions whether a person is fully vaccinated, and do you have symptoms, or was it just you were in contact with somebody, can really determine that they can get back in, within the next 5 days. So most of those probably will be able to, if they're not already working from home, can work from home this week. So I'm
Yes.
hopeful that everybody, with the exception of maybe a few that come out positive towards the end of the week, then will be within their 5 days, give or take, by Tuesday of next week.
And one of the questions that we were asked today is if employees are required to test in order to return. So, or if they've been exposed. So they are not, it's not a mandate, but it is very, very highly recommended, because what we're seeing is that they can come back after the 5th day, so on the 6th day. But that seems to be when people are testing positive after that 5 days. So we're highly recommending people get tested before they return. And then I just want to again reiterate that I ask both staff and parents to notify the staff at your school sites if anybody is testing positive, if they have symptoms, if somebody's sick at home, and then of course the district office, HR office if it's a district employee, and if they're sick, to please stay home because that will help mitigate this. So.
Okay,
That's all I
thank you. Members of the board, any questions or comments regarding that report? Do we have anybody who wants to address the board?
No, sir.
We're on item 3A, and that would be, excuse me, let's do the consent agenda and approval of the following consent agenda items. As listed 1 through 3, there, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the consent agenda
Second.
items.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any question on the expense vouchers as listed? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes, item 3, discussion action on the approval of certified hires. Mr. Lindeman, will you entertain a motion to approve those?
I move to approve the certified hires.
Ms. Salchow?
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Do you have anything you want to point out?
No, these are all just, most of them are already our employees, and they're only going to be doing the enrichment program after school, and then substitute teachers, which we need.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes, item B, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. I hear a motion to approve
Move to approve the classified hires.
by Mr. Lindeman.
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion from the administration
No,
regarding
as
it?
presented.
Any comments?
No, as presented.
Where's the funding from all of that coming from?
For those, 5 of the positions are ESSER 3, and 1 is M&O, which is instructional aid for Joe Carlson.
Okay, of course, that's all extra pay, right? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez? Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations and retirement. Mr. Lindeman.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion.
As presented, again, we have men enlisted there for an effective retirement date of May 26, 22, with a total of 32.5 years dedicated to this district in various capacities, from being a school IA, teacher's aide, to working herself up to being the new student supervisor. So definitely, we thank her for the many years and the great work that she's done to this district.
Have you gotten anybody that cross-trained or anybody in district that you're looking at to?
Well, there's some cross-training that Mene has implemented herself in the last few years, but more so now knowing that that she made this decision. There's definitely been heavy cross-training with one other staff member there. But we will be working with Mene very strategically this semester to make sure that there's a transition if it's an in-district person transferring into that position, or if we have to open up the position.
That area in school districts now is a very, very specialized
Yeah.
area. People are highly trained and have tremendous amount of experience in that, and rightfully so, because of the way things happen, and especially all the changing laws, they have to be totally familiar with
It's,
attendance and
school
what's happening in the
finance
legislature.
and, power school reporting, ADE. So there's a lot of layers of data that get uploaded from, daily to monthly to at the end of the year, rollover of the new school year. So working closely with business office is key there.
As well as knowing all the attendance
Attendance.
laws
Mhm,
that
and
that go with it.
policies.
Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval of classified transfer. Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
By Mr. Lindemann.
Second.
Second by Ms. Saltel.
As presented, Danielle Quinones is an instructional IA that has been at Joe Carlson for many years. And in the recent month, about a month, the school's parent liaison resigned, and she's been covering both duties, IA and trying to help out in the office. So she interviewed, and Mrs. Leon is recommending her for the position.
There's no money.
Well, yes, it's a different position, so it's a
Yeah.
increase in pay.
Well, that's the reason we're
Yes,
approving
uh-huh,
it, but okay, all right. Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, item 3E, discussion action on approval of athletic hire. And before we get in, I want to comment that really appreciate the fact that now the board has all the background information on these people, and that this is a good one too, because it shows the vast experience that this individual has, and hopefully will bring a lot of that and the ability to impart it to the athletes. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I move to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I just had one quick question. What was the makeup of the committee for this particular
It's right there.
hire?
It's on the letter of rationale, and it's on the memorandum, and it has Mr. Ortega, head baseball coach, and Melissa Rodriguez as the DHS principal as the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's a lot of good information. All right, do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you did. Uh-huh.
Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item F, discussion action on approval of athletic resignation. Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Salchow, discussion. Ms. Summer.
Just as presented, Maria Sexton is only resigning from her coaching position, and that is effective immediately, which now provides a vacancy, I'm assuming, Mr. Ortega, in that department, so.
Well, if she's, is the season complete?
No, track is barely going to start.
It hadn't, okay, that's right, it hadn't
Yeah.
started. So then you need to ask the question, what does that, well, let's look at the dynamics, first of all. Was she given the extra duty addendum for that?
Yes, well, she was approved by the board at the very beginning of the year, but I would have to double check and see. I don't believe her addenda is given until they start the season. So she hasn't started the season yet, and she is resigning before the season even starts.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking is because the same, let me just say that the same parameters exist for anybody that resigns a coaching.
Yeah, they would. Mhm.
As it would for certified as to whether they're rehirable or not rehirable or not. So I don't know if you want to.
Well, I think she's rehirable. She's one of our staff, and I mean, she did put in her letter that she had to resign. She didn't give any reason, but she has been a track coach for many, many years, so it may have been a personal reason.
And of course, not looking specifically at this personality, but say an instance like this, if somebody up and resigns on you like this before the season starts, wouldn't you want to scrutinize that as well as you would any other resignation? I mean, it's a certified resignation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the person going to, of course, there's no liquidated damages here.
No. Mhm.
But the question of rehirable is there. So I think you need to take that back to
Okay.
the administration without making a rash recommendation here and asking the principal and the athletic director whether that person would be rehirable or not.
Okay.
So I think we're going to
Table.
hold that in abeyance. Who made that motion, Mr. Lindeman? Would you
I withdraw my
Would
motion.
you withdraw yours?
Yes, I withdraw.
Okay, so we're going to withdraw the motion, and we're going to put that
Okay.
on the next agenda.
Table.
All right.
Are you gonna table?
Pardon?
You wish to table?
You want to table the item?
Yeah, I
No,
move to
no,
table.
they just withdrew
Okay.
their motion. There's no sense in tabling it now. We've already got them to withdraw. So we move on to the next one, and that would be G. And I don't want to put, and I don't think the board wants to put any undue pressure or onus on the administration or the athletic department, but I think that is extremely important and appropriate that they do that. In the case that they come up again and say, Mr. Ortega says, I'm not, I can't even recommend you for this sport. You left us high and dry the last time. I'm not saying that's the case here, but that is something that needs to be considered.
Is there, may I just interject here? Do we ever do an exit interview regarding that?
Pardon me?
An exit interview? Like when somebody resigns, that they're interviewed over their reasons?
And normally that does happen with, certified staff in teaching positions or, administrative positions. I am not sure, and I mean, Mr. Ortega is here, so we can definitely ask him if there's an exit interview or, I think in this case, but you're right, we didn't have that conversation or he didn't make the recommendation to not rehire, the person that is resigning or rehire. But we can what this is going to do by not voting on it, then I'm probably going to have to bring it back sooner and not wait till the end because I need, if she's resigning, and we need to post that position and allow for the Douglas High School administration to interview and recommend somebody sooner rather than later.
Well, but wait a minute. Technically, she doesn't have a working agreement right now. So you can hire anybody now. You don't. She's not compromising you
Okay.
because
Just wanna make sure.
they don't get the
Addendum until the season starts. So we're
she's just
good.
notifying you now to give you an advantage. However, the question still exists whether she would be rehirable or not. So
Okay.
you don't have to worry about
Okay.
that.
All right.
And again, technically, she's not under contract right now.
No.
Okay, she's just notifying you. Okay. So we don't have it. We don't have a motion on the floor. All right. So now we're moving on to G, discussion action on the approval of volunteer. Mr. Lindeman, entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion?
None, and the background information was also on there. We have the volunteer application form. The candidate met with the athletic director, got his approval, provided 3 letters of recommendation, and then a little letter about his experience.
Yeah,
He's
and again, because this is important. I think the letter there explains very well. I mean, he played 13 years. He has a lot of knowledge. He's coached. He played for Gilbert Rojas, and that should be enough, I think, for anybody. But anyway, so, no, that's good.
Okay.
So we'll entertain a motion to approve.
We already have a motion.
We already have a motion on that one?
Yes.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes, item H, discussion action on the approval of student teachers. Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the administration?
I just want Mrs. Cox to clarify that it says district-wide or give further explanation. So these are student teachers that are going to be in different classrooms.
So for this, this last semester, they will be at one particular site, but could go to different sites to observe. So this semester, they're only observing. And then they will start with us next year in specific classrooms. So that's why it says district-wide.
Okay. Any discussion, members of the board? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes. Item I, discussion action on the approval of donations received for DUSD number 27. And those donations are, Ms. Samaniego, you read them.
We have a donation of Mapix Tornado Drum Kit with cymbals and hardware from Mike Sadler to DHS Band, estimated value of $300. And a donation of $500 from ICF International 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey going to Douglas High School to their gift and donations account.
To the Douglas High School Gifts and Donation Department?
Well,
Account?
it's not a department, and you can explain the gift and donations
Yeah,
that
it's
they
a
all schools
general-
have.
Yeah, every school has a gift and donation.
No, I
account.
understand that. I'm sorry, I thought it said department.
Uh-huh.
I
No,
thought,
no, no.
what is that department?
No, account.
Got it. All right. Do we have a motion on the floor?
No, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes, item J, discussion action on the approval of emergency procurement purchases related to COVID-19. Mr. Soto, before we get a motion on the floor, let's
Yeah, these are just purchases that they're considered emergency right now because we don't have to spend the time and get quotes and follow the regular procurement rules. So the board needs to,
So as long as the board approves
as long
them.
as the board approves them, of course. And then these purchases mostly are PPE equipment, COVID masks, sanitizers, and all that stuff.
entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Ms.
Second.
Second. Any discussion, members of the board? Any questions regarding that? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes, item K, discussion action pursuant to policy BGF to temporarily suspend BGB, requiring 2 readings of the proposed policies prior to approval of the adoption in order to approve the below policy immediately upon first reading. Before I get a motion on the, no, go ahead, let's get a motion on the floor.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion. Mr. Soto. Or is that yours, Ms. Sonny?
It was submitted by Mr. Soto.
Right.
It's basically the increase on the pay for subs due to the minimum wage increase, and to make it a little more attractive, for so we can get more subs. Basically, what we did, the recommendation is to add $20 to the existing amounts we have. So I don't know if, depending on what the minimum wage is the following year, then we might have to come back to the table and adjust them again. But for now, we want to enforce that immediately. That's why we're asking to not do the 2 readings, so we can get it approved today and apply it right away.
So you said add $20 to the existing account
Correct.
amount, and then, so what will that take it to for board information?
From 85 to 105 on the tier 1, which is the emergency substitutes, And if they work more than 20 days or they're considered long-term subs in the same position, then they go up to 125. Tier 2, which is the regular substitutes, goes from 95 to 115, and then after the 21st day consecutive is 135. Tier 3, which is regular substitutes certified with some years of experience, it goes from 105 to 125. And after the 21st day, then they start getting $145 a day.
So you put $20 on each one of
On
those
each one of
levels,
them,
each
correct.
one level. And then, just so that the board knows, if they don't already know, and the general public, what's the new regulation for substitutes?
The new regulation for subs was a change that was approved, and it will allow school districts to continue having the same substitute teacher for more than 120 days in a given classroom. For many years, that's been an issue for all districts because of the lack of subs, and so you constantly have to be moving or rotating subs past the 120 days unless you would get a special exception or approval from ADE. And so that change is now going to assist us, and we can continue with the sub more than 120 days in a given classroom.
Members of the board, do you have any questions or more clarification on
I
that?
have a question,
Go ahead.
Mr. President. Just generally, what is the requirements for the three categories of substitutes?
Okay, so category 1, tier 1 is what ADE issues an emergency certificate. So that can be anyone as long as they're 18 years old, freshly out of high school, or with some credits, under their belt, academic credits at Cochise College, for example, and they can apply. So there is no bachelor's requirement or any of that. So that's what is called an emergency substitute teacher certificate. The tier 2 can be, it is somebody with a bachelor's probably that in any field that has no teaching experience. Okay, and then tier 3 is a certified sub with teaching experience. So this could be a retired teacher that is now subbing and has many years of experience.
Thank you.
So, but further clarification for the emergency sub, although they all have to be is 18 years old and have a high school, the district, you still have other criteria that you use, correct? I mean.
Yes, it's not just anybody that can come in and want to be a sub, and so they definitely have to apply within the district. They have to get fingerprinted, they have to have a certificate by ADE, and then they go through the HR process as well.
Roll call. Thank you
Miss-
for that.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes,
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, and I'm glad to hear that Mr. Ramos is on the
Doing well,
call. Obviously, he's doing much better, and we hope that he continues to do well. Item 4A, request for future agenda items. Members of the board?
No.
Announcements?
Just a reminder again, we have parent-teacher conferences this Thursday, and they can be virtual or in person. The February the 7th, there is no school. President's Day on February the 21st, and our next regular board meeting on the 1st.
Entertain a
March
motion to
1st.
adjourn.
move to approve,
By
or
Mr.
excuse me,
Lehman.
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.